want to express thanks on behalf of Mr. Moore and me for the wonderful experience that we've had joining with you at this historic conference, and our deep gratitude to the National Spiritual Assembly and its staff for all the work that it put into organizing this stupendous event, really. It's unequaled, as I said, in the 41 conferences. I also want to say one thing about yesterday's program, and that was, I don't know about you, but I was thrilled to hear the reports in the afternoon from predominantly young people about their experiences in the plan and their experiences in the field. And I'll tell you, the feeling that I had afterwards was that this faith is in very good hands for the future. Now, this weekend, I think, has been a time that has been rich in learning, very rich in learning, and I think we see that that is really our principal orientation to everything we're doing in terms of our work in implementing the plan, in striving to win the goals of the plan. The most important thing is that we are learners. We are trying to find the way to do this the most effectively. Some mistakes may be made along the way, but we keep moving on. You know, one writer said that experience is the name people give to their mistakes. And so we don't have to worry about it. We are constantly learning, and we're constantly doing better. Some of the things that we started several years ago that we weren't sure about, and we tried them out, and we followed the guidance, and now we're just so good at it. We really understand it. But there have been all these different elements that have been added in, and with each new element, as the House of Justice has presented us the dimensions of the framework, and as it said, we have to learn how to weave them together coherently. As we've been working with these different dimensions, we've become more skilled, and we understand them better, and we're implementing them more effectively, and that's why we're constantly getting better and better results. And I think the House of Justice will be very pleased when they hear the results of this conference, that all of the wonderful spirit and enthusiasm and excitement that we've all felt that has been generated by this conference has been translated into real practical action and outcomes. I know that for many of you, a number of the themes that we've discussed, you might say, have been a review, our commentary in a sense on your experience. You've been working in these areas and with these concepts firsthand. But I think one of the reasons the House of Justice wanted us to have this review was to realize again the importance of getting the big picture, of coming together and having this kind of holistic view and seeing that all of these elements have to be integrated into a framework. That it's not just doing a little of this and a little of this, but ultimately putting them together in a coherent framework. And I think that we see now that when they are integrated together, that we are really talking about something more than just bringing about growth. We're really talking about, as we said yesterday, of a community building process that is really at the fundamental level of this civilization building process that we're all committed to. One of the things that I hope that we will go away with also from this conference is understanding that now that we've really come to a kind of a deeper awareness of how these things work together, we're also more experienced and more able in carrying out some of the elements of the framework, that there is room for more in terms of what can be done in advancing the plan. And what I mean by that is that when you're at a sea level cluster, obviously there's a great deal of emphasis on the institute process. We now know that the teaching work has to start, right from the beginning. As it says in one of the communications from the teaching center, really the program of growth starts then, but it just becomes at a certain stage more intensive. But by the time you become a B cluster, and particularly an A cluster, when you should have these elements and the processes in hand, there is space for other kinds of things, but we have to see them as not something out here, but something that can be integrated into the framework. And I'll just give you a quick example, because I think sometimes these are the things that get us sort of stalled or hung up for no real reason. There are various activities that over the many years that we Baha'is would get involved in, and they weren't something that we've given any emphasis to in the last many years, starting with the 4-year plan and the last 5-year plan. But that's not that they don't have a certain place, but how do they fit into this framework? That's the question. One Baha'i was talking about how he always loved to do booths at state fairs. That was what he loved to do. And when he made that suggestion that that's what he wanted to do, the comment was, well, we don't do booths anymore. All right? But of course, the fact of the matter is that that's not something we might put a lot of resources into. And certainly if we're a C cluster trying to get the framework established, that we might not see that as a priority. But by the time you're a well-developed cluster, there are so many different avenues for teaching that friends will want to pursue and that they feel they're particularly good at. And there's a place for that in the plan. How do we make that, how do we bring that particular activity into the coherence of this framework the House of Justice is talking about? Well, first of all, even, I think one of the things is to actually evaluate some of these activities and see, do they bring results? I mean, what kind of response do we get? And this friend was asking, he said, oh no, I always get a lot of response. A lot of people come to my booth, and I find it to be a very wonderful avenue, and so on. Of course, the fact of the matter is we used to have a lot of booths, and then they wouldn't go anywhere. What would be the follow-up? But however, if you look at that friend's individual initiative, and you see how can, the LSA sees how it can support that person, is there a way that another friend who maybe, this friend is not very schooled in the Institute courses, can support him by joining with him at that booth, so that when he has an opportunity to present the faith, he does it in the more effective manner that he learned in Book 6. He doesn't start with an 1844 that Bob declared. In other words, so there are always ways to kind of collaborate and facilitate an initiative like that and make the person feel that they are part of the panel and they're supporting the plan, but achieve that kind of integration. Is there literature there about the study circles and devotional meetings and children's classes that are going on in that cluster? So that it's not just someone learning a few words about the faith, but there's a way to, again, as I said, to integrate that into the framework of the plan. That as we go along in this process, actually there are going to be many things